Well, first of all, congrats for getting that award, Best Use of Genre. I'm guessing the genre was...
Well, we drew buddy film or horror film, and we always, if we get two, we try to just combine them, so.
That's an option as well. You can either pick one or the two genres, or in this case, combine them. That's a very big challenge to take on. So how was the experience?
It was a fun one. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that that's ours that got picked. That it's one of our more, we never really tried more of a dreamy, abstract one, and that was actually a bit chaotic because it wasn't as written as much as it was, we wanted like a fever dream type sequence. So we get halfway through it and like, what are we making here?
You just continue doing it, like you were already in the mess.
Yes.
There's a couple of scenes in which the lens, it's very helpful to change that moment from reality to a dreamlike moment. Is that something that you planned using before? You just had it at hand and you said, well, let's use the 360 camera.
That was our first year playing with it. So we had gotten one very shortly before. So that was difficult in itself because to edit that footage, you basically had to edit twice, like once in the GoPro software just to get, like the clip and then actually edit it.
A little bit overall, when it comes to the competition, you have to make a movie in 48 hours, right? So from the minute one until the last minute, how was the layout? Like, how was your Friday night? How was your Saturday? How was your Sunday?
Basically, we show up to the thing on Friday. We've been doing this a really long time, and me and my buddy Heath been kind of leading it the last few years, and we, on the Friday night, we actually like to hang out at the place we ever have the drawing, and we talk about it with the crew that's there. We're usually a very small crew, and decide what we want to do. And this was one of the years we really didn't even write so much as we wrote plot points. And then Friday night we try to gather what we need and try to get some sleep. And then Saturday we wake up, try to shoot it all. And I don't like to have anything left to do production-wise Sunday, but it does occasionally happen because that's more of a dedicated day, and at that day you're pretty sleep deprived and trying to edit. So,
as far as the roles, you were in charge of acting on it, right? Kind of directed it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And post-production wise, you also put hands on editing, sound.
Yeah, we're pretty ragtag crew. So.
That's pretty sweet. Where was that located? Was the rain real? Like the
rain?
Rain?
Yeah, it was just pouring in the rain.
So I use it.
Incorporate that in there, yeah.
How did you get a big finger on such short notice?
We do one of our friends that contributes with us most here is actually more into the special effects side, and he loves to make latex things, so that was one of our fingers made out of latex and painted up. And so he was doing that on the side while we were getting everything else ready to shoot. At this point, I think I'm addicted. I started doing this in like 2018. I was like 18, I'm 35 now. I think I've only missed 2 years. He's been doing this with me for 90% of them. At this point, I just couldn't imagine a summer without it. And I think it's a great opportunity when you have friends who are interested in artistic endeavors, but everybody is constantly like, oh, let's make a film, let's make a movie. And it's like, it's hard to gather everyone to do it, but for the 48, you can get people to dedicate. Let's, for one exhaustive weekend, let's just see what we made.
Do you have any preconceived ideas before you get what the requirements are? I'm sure you get that question a lot.
That's a really good question though, because not anymore. Like a long time ago I did. And I think the longer we've been doing this, part of the fun is just trying to make what they give you, but also that's what the judges want. So back in the day, we would have these preconceived notions like, oh, I want to make something with this kind of atmosphere or this kind of genre. But then you show up and it's like, oh, you got to make a movie about a scuba diver and it's a comedy. And it just throws everything out the door you're thinking. So I think the real spirit of the 48 is to be flexible and show up and really try to make something out of what they give you. So like, you definitely can have environment, like, because you're definitely gonna want to have sets or I mean places you want to shoot and your resources lined up. But as for what the film's gonna be, I think you need to be really open beforehand.
So I'm about to ask, how many takes did you go through?
Oh, that was just the one cake.
The one cake.
Date that you did. So they say, here's your elements.
Well, in the mall, like I said, we kind of like to hang out at usually the place we do it, the drawing itself, and we'll talk to the team. And again, there's such a small number of us, and I kind of lead in the sense of being the team leader, but it really takes the whole team, and Heath is kind of my silent partner here behind the scenes, behind the camera, and we just sit down with everybody and talk out what we want to do. And then the years that we do really write something, I usually go home and write something based on what we all came up with. And so again, it's super flexible, like every year is kind of different. Oh, absolutely. And I feel like I'm abusing the word, but if I can throw any word out over and over, it's like be flexible, because you run into things you don't expect, and lots of people are having lots of different ideas. And so it's, you know, it's definitely a mess.
At this point, it's been a few years since the first time that I participated, and I've never heard of a team bringing a script ready to shoot or to adapt to whatever the elements are. And when I've had team members telling me, hey, let's put together some scripts, I use that as an exercise just to get the brain and the juices flowing towards, you know, let's get something ready soon.
Just curious who the character was in All the Black.
The two, half the time it was the guy that played the guy I invited to the party, and the other half the time it was his brother, who was the exact same height. So we just sort of flipped them out based on who was available in the moment, and also because sometimes he was in the shot as himself, sometimes he wasn't. So.
Was he real or imagined, or an imaginary friend?
We like to think he's the imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we like to pretend it's ambiguous, but yeah, it's a, you know, delusionary person venting.
You have any questions, Mike? Good. I think I have one more and we can continue with the screens.
So one of the things that found interest in the very short format, obviously, but the character became very initially likable and in some ways relatable, which I think that's very important. Can you kind of talk about what you character-wise to sort of draw someone into the character? It's because you definitely did.
Oh, well, thank you. It's nice. I'm not even really sure. This one was actually a little indulgent too. The movie that the character's like ranting about at the beginning is one of our old 48-hour film projects. I printed out a fake cover and put in a DVD years ago. I've had that wasn't even made for this. But as for like, I'm flattered you think that. I'm not sure what we're doing to do it. I think some of it might just be that our sense of humor is a little dark, but I think I have a very soft, approachable face, so you put the two together.
Thank you for being here. Please, everybody, give it up for Spencer.
Thank you.